Hello, angel babies. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Trisha, and this is Trisha's Temple. Thanks for being here. I would like to introduce you to the Huntress today. She is all about passion and instinct and being connected to the body. I like to describe her like this. In astrology, there's something called the North Node and the South Node. The North Node is all about expansion and moving towards your dreams, your vision for all that your soul is capable of experiencing. And the South Node is your comfort zone. It's the things that you have experienced before. It's things that help you to feel regulated. It's things that might be limiting you, but not necessarily. It can also be just a place where you return when you move outside your comfort zone. And the Huntress, she operates both. The North Node being like the gas pedal in a car, and the South Node being like the brake pedal. We need both. We can't just have all gas, no brake, and we can't just have a brake pedal with no gas. And if we're trying to push down on both of them, then we're going to end up in this like functional freeze, paralyzed, frozen internally state. So the Huntress, when she's in her full power, she's aware that we need both. We need the expansion, we need the creativity and curiosity and exploration of the world, but we also need things that regulate us and help us to feel safe. We need things that are familiar. She helps to balance out both of these things. She's aware of the dangers of the past. She has that wisdom built within her, and she's also open to the things that bring new life into your world. She's not afraid of pursuing leadership and growth, but she's not doing it from a place of fear or trying to fix herself. She's doing it with an energy of I want to experience these new things, and this is what my soul is craving. But I don't have to force myself to follow anyone else's timeline. This is my timeline. So the first question that I have is, where has your power, your voice, or instinct been lying dormant or quiet? Maybe you felt a little disempowered or silenced, or otherwise like you had to make yourself smaller in order to fit someone else's narrative. And where have you been feeling that dormant or quietly disempowered, shrinking yourself energy? Before, in like my pre-shuffle, the Otters came out, which is a card of relationships. If this deck had a Lover's card, that would be it. So it might be something around a combination of self-love and how that self-love and trust manifests externally. And I don't think that you have always been somebody who is just like, I hate myself. You might think that, but there is a part of you that came very filled with love for yourself. who has that Huntress fire. And she, when I say she, I just mean like the Huntress. She is eager to reconnect to you if you haven't already been feeling that. Through perhaps relationships that are already showing up in your life, or that have. And they're this mirror for you of the type of love that you deserve. We're having a hard time getting a new card, so I think that these otter messages might be important. Okay. The coin. I love that the kitten kitty is sitting on top of the coin. The kitten represents your internal wisdom, your instincts, your intuition. So also this number is 55, so repeating fives could be a symbol for you. Fives represent, hello, are you going to focus? Change. Let's look up what this one says. The coin, a sign of wealth and prosperity. You deserve a life in which you thrive. To allow prosperity into your life, you are going to have to break from the limiting belief that your fate is to live in scarcity. Prosperity is not only a state of mind, but it starts there. You cannot get something unless you think you deserve or can achieve it. So start by making peace with prosperity and things will start aligning for you. With this message in mind, receive the golden coin today as a sign that the universe wants you to thrive and have a prosperous life. Pay attention to this sign in your daily life, and if you encounter a little coin, pick it up and be grateful for it regardless of its value. Picking it up means you accept the guidance being offered by the universe. The in-balance energy, so like an upright meaning, is prospering, feeling financially stable, experiencing abundance. Out of balance, feeling greedy, working too much, feeling financially unstable, or scarcity. And when you put this in terms of the Huntress or nervous system, abundance feels like regulation. It feels like openness and expansion and trusting yourself. It feels like when you were a little kid and you would just do something because you had the idea to do it. There may be a little bit of a recklessness in the childlike version of that, but now you have gained enough wisdom and insight that although you might have previous experiences that tell you to like have some level of caution going into something, that you can still trust yourself. So perhaps it is specifically around finance, but just in the whole concept of abundance in general. Abundance is about noticing the signs, whether you believe in aliens or you believe in some sort of like collective consciousness or quantum physics or whatever it is that you believe in, that you are allowing yourself to tap into something bigger than you and trust the process that has led you this far in your life. The abundance will allow you to soften and reap the rewards of your efforts. It's like, if you are the whole phrase that says like where attention goes, energy flows. If you are focusing your energy on or your attention on these little moments of magic, then you're likely going to experience more of them. And that's not to say that you won't have hard days or hard moments throughout your days, but noticing those like little magical moments, the miracles, the blessings, the abundance will expand that abundance in your life. Perhaps you have felt silly, or that part of you that believes in that or wants to trust the process has been feeling diminished or disempowered, silenced, because there's also like this big fear part of you that says, well, like, what about this? Or remember this experience that we had. And they might be kind of playing tug of war or trying to duel it out against each other. And I think that this part of you is not saying that the other part needs to disappear or not exist, or that it can't have its say in the matter. It's just saying, I get to exist too. That your little miracle moments, your magic, the whimsy of your life is allowed to exist, to coexist with the part of you that is still afraid or isn't sure how things are going to work out. Just as we were talking about in the beginning with the gas pedal and the brake pedal, it's okay for them to both exist. We actually need both of those. And you don't have to discredit one or try to erase one for the other one to exist. They don't have to compete with each other. In fact, they might empower each other if you let them. Okay. What within you is beginning to stir, awaken, or demand expression again? This could be a specific emotion or passion project, a boundary, a desire, a truth. Something that wants to come forward and have its say. Put in a word. We have the squirrel. You know, this card really loves to come out from this deck. Let's read what the squirrel has to say. 25. Spirit of courage. If you are afraid, then do it with fear. The spirit of the squirrel calls for courage. Listen to your intuition and move with caution, but don't let fear freeze you. Fear is a great master, so be thankful for the warnings it sends you, but always lead with the bravery of your heart. If you've been dwelling in monotony, a new adventure is exactly what you need to turn ordinary into extraordinary. It may be a trip, a new job, or even a new hobby, but move away from routine and dare to try something new. It doesn't need to be something big. Any little change you bring into your life can spark a little joy in your soul. Great treasures await you. Confidently go after the magic you deserve, but don't let excitement cloud your reasoning. Don't act on impulse and put yourself in dangerous situations. Lead with an adventurous heart, but a cautious mind. I think that this card is just reiterating a lot of what we've said. In balance, feeling courageous, feeling adventurous, experiencing excitement, being curious, daring. Out of balance, putting yourself in danger, acting on impulse, taking uncalculated risks. Feeling bored, feeling frozen by fear. Okay, so this spirit of courage, I have this poem, and the whole idea is that fear comes and knocks on the door, and you welcome fear in, allow her to sit down by the fire. She takes off her shawl, you give her a cup of tea, and she begins to tell you her story. She is offered a safe space to calm her nerves, and then you realize that that fear is turning into desire, turning into the things that your heart most wants to go after. And the title of this poem is Courage is a Flickering Flame. I would say that there may be some quiet desire within you that may be disguised as a fear right now. It may be something that feels a little bit tantalizing, or like your brain is kind of fixating on it a lot right now. And it's not to say that you need to obsessively ruminate and figure it out all right now, but perhaps you are able to just slowly approach that fear and or desire with a bit of gentleness of, hey, like, what is your story? Tell me what it is that you are craving, what it is that you're really wanting. And can I move this fear to a place of desire? I've been watching the show Sex Education, and there's this part where the head boy, Jackson, he decides to try something new. He's always been this swimmer, and his mother is always pushing him really, really hard, and he has a lot of anxiety. but then he like intentionally breaks his hand so that he doesn't have to do that anymore. Then he decides to try out for the school play, and he goes through the whole process of becoming Romeo in Romeo and Juliet, and it's the night of the first, like, oh, it's opening night. He's about to go on stage, and he just freezes, and the director tells him, "It's not fear, it's excitement. It's not fear, it's excitement. Just remember that." And maybe it's both, right? It's a very similar physiological experience, fear and excitement. They're both very activating and give you kind of an energetic buzz. Sometimes fear can shut you down, but a lot of times it feels like nervousness, feeling jittery, feeling buzzy, which is similar to excitement. And maybe there is something within you that is wanting just a little bit more of your undivided attention. And if you offer it that with a little bit of boundary, like, not, I'm going to sit and ruminate on this all day, every day until I uncover it, but maybe just, I'm going to give you my undivided attention for a dedicated, 15 minutes or something. And then it might feel heard and seen. I just saw 22. All right, the next question is, what fears arise as you begin to step back into your power? Perhaps you have a specific idea in mind of what it means to step into your power. And that vision that you have is causing a lot of anxiety. So you are slowing down the pace at which you expect yourself to get there. It's like, one thing that I'm working on is just singing more. I really enjoy singing, but I'm not like I don't have any singing experience in front of people. But even just singing for myself around the house is a place to start, to use my voice more. So the reason I share that, I think that something that might be coming up for you is like, oh, if I'm not already on stage singing in front of a bunch of people, then I'm failing at my dream or not stepping fully into my power. But I think that your fear and desire can actually work more in harmony with each other. That's what the Huntress is showing you. We're having a slower pace today in general of getting these cards to come out. So that might be a message overall. If you're feeling a lot of fear, If you're feeling rushed, like you have to make a decision, you gotta know right now. All right, we have a few that came out. Then maybe you can just take a step back. We have the monkey. And we have the lion. And we have the fox. I love red foxes. There may be multiple fears around the strength that you have, your intelligence, and your just like general like agility, or even like the idea of like humor, wit, ability to think on the spot, and be able to adapt to a new circumstance, a new set of circumstances. Now I'm thinking of the movie Fall Guy, when he has like this really horrible injury and then he has a hard time getting himself to go back to his job, his work as a stuntman. And so there may be something like that where it's something that you're like afraid to get back on the horse, so to speak, or if it's something newer that you're nervous, you don't have you haven't acquired the right knowledge or skill set yet, that you're going to have to be new again at something. And that can be unsettling. It can be nerve-wracking. You're going to have to show up and be unfamiliar. You'll have to ask for help or reference a guidebook or try and fail and try something different. It might be a little bit of a messy or uncomfortable process to fully stepping into your power, and that fear of claiming your own strength is really about not only that you might not like live up to those expectations, but also like what will continually be asked of you, the responsibilities being placed on your shoulders. It's like the example of like if you were to buy a house, like you might think, oh, like I really want to own this house, but then all of a sudden you have the responsibility for all of the home repairs. Like if anything starts to fall apart, then like that's your responsibility. Whereas like if you were just renting, then the person who owns the property would be the one that you can call and rely on. Same thing if you are somebody who is working in a corporate job versus if you were to venture out on your own and start your own business. In the corporate position, while there might be a lot of like annoying and monotonous things or rules and regulations that you have to follow that you don't agree with, in that case, at least somebody else is making all the decisions. Whereas when you step out on your own, step into your power more fully, expand yourself into something that you are really excited about, like, it's like heavy is something about the crown being heavy. I don't remember how that one goes. And I think that you will be surprised at how the progression is a lot more natural. It's not just like overnight, all of a sudden, you have to do everything that you didn't know how to do. You might be projecting yourself a lot further down the road than you really are. And all that's required of you is today, this moment. I think that's one that we all fall into a lot, is the catastrophizing and getting overwhelmed because we are thinking about our whole life instead of just right now. Okay, the next question is, where in your life are you being asked to reclaim your space, voice, or boundaries? Physical, emotional, relational, or creative? This is like, some of these questions are about getting more specific, diving deeper on where specifically in your life are you being asked to reclaim your space, your voice, or your boundaries. You may have multiple areas that are coming up at once. So I actually had this card come out the last time I filmed this video, which if you didn't see the Siren Oracle video, I gave a little explanation about that. And what I think is happening for you is you're acknowledging the ways that you may have outsourced your own authority. You have looked to other people, systems, ideologies to be the answer for how you should operate in your own life. And it's not to say that you can't get input or advice or encouragement, support. We all need those things. We need each other. But the Emperor is all about being the sovereign leader in your own life. That you can go to yourself and say, hey, I have this problem that I'm dealing with, and I did maybe seek outside support, but at the end of the day, like, I am the executive decision maker in my own life. And I know myself well enough to say, this is how I'm going to make the decision. I think that it's also a softening of maybe some of the relationship that you have had around the idea of masculinity. So that's not to say that you're just like, yeah, like, any of my past experiences with masculine energy don't matter, but rather that you're forming a relationship with your own polarity. And whether you want to call that masculine and feminine, yin yang, sun and moon, structure and chaos, light and dark, that you are coming to accept the parts of you that crave a bit more structure, but perhaps you're doing it in a way that is different from how you were taught that that needed to look. For example, if you were raised with like a very rigid set of rules or a harsh dogma, if you were raised in religion, then you're not following that exactly, or you're taking the things that worked for you and leaving the things that don't, and giving yourself enough of a structure that feels supportive so that the creative and flowing and softer parts of you feel safe to explore. Yeah. Okay, where in your life? No. Next question. Okay, what does your instinct already know that your mind is still questioning? We have the Apprentice of Pentacles, which would be the Page of Pentacles. Number 74. Your instinct already know that your mind is still questioning. Let's read what the Apprentice of Pentacles says. Those who embody the Apprentice of Pentacles work away in the background on significant projects, methodically mastering their chosen craft. Channel this apprentice for their industrious fertility in the realms of home, work, spirituality, and finances. Tend your garden, cultivate abundance. If you've lost touch with your own body, mind, and emotions, dedicate some time to meditating on how you might best plant new seeds to grow these parts of yourself. Reversed, procrastination is causing you to feel stuck and stale. A new perspective is available if you're open to it. The failures of the past are merely lessons, well-processed fertilizer for whatever projects, hopes, or dreams you seek to bring to fruition. Plant yourself in a new beginning and trust that the soil is nutrient-dense because of what has come before. Channel the vibe. Opal, supportive, kind, uplifting. The mood music, Strange Girl by Laura Marling. And the scent, a dewy, mossy redwood forest floor. I think that you may have already been working on something or working towards something. You may be doubting if it is worth your time and energy. And I can't tell you if it is or not. I'm not in your exact position or giving you a personal reading right now. But I would say that you probably know if it is. You can sense it, you can feel it. You can feel if there's resistance that has been kind of eating away at you, saying it's time to move on. You may be noticing that while yes, you have some doubts or fears that are like continuously arising, you do return back to yourself, your center, that tells you, no, I love this, I'm passionate about it, I'm excited about it, I have a vision for how things can turn out, and I want to keep working towards it. Whether that is like some sort of creative project, if it's even just like a work environment and what it looks like for you to be in that space, if it's a relationship and you have moments of doubt and fear, that your body is giving you signs of I feel like myself here, or I don't. And you are starting to see the patterns more clearly. What does it look like for you to use your power in a way that feels true, not forced or performative? And I will say for this one that letting go of being performative or trying to be an authentic person, I think is a continuous pursuit. That the version of you that you were last year, 5 years, 10 years ago is probably different than the version of you that you are today. Even yesterday, you were different than you are today. And that doesn't mean that you were not authentic then, because the version of you that you are today is probably a more refined or more fully expressed version of you. It's just like, imagine if you listened to a song today and you really, really loved it. and then you listened to another song and you liked it, but it like wasn't your favorite, you wouldn't say that one song was authentic and one song wasn't. You would say this one is like my most favorite, or you like might rank it as a higher level of love than another one that felt more truly connected to you. It might have like made you light up more than another. And I think that the same is true of certain experiences or relationships or environments, that some feel more resonant or connective than others, and that can shift throughout our lives. Sometimes we get into this mindset that is, I think, also harmful, of being like, oh, I was forcing that, or I was being performative, or not authentic because it wasn't the absolute most you that you could be. But sometimes there are just moments in our life when we're not going to be vibing the absolute highest around the people who are the most aligned with us, around listening to the music that's the most aligned with us, eating the food that we love the absolute most, wearing the clothes that feel the best on our body. Like, everything isn't going to be exactly perfect. It sounds really cool and amazing. Like, I'd like to experience that a few times in my life, but I think that that's just the continual pursuit of life, is like, oh, hey, that thing, I like that a little bit less. I'm going to do that a little bit less, and I'm going to do these things more because I like them more. The Oracle of Swords. Interesting. So, the Queen of Swords. I think that you are gaining more clarity and clearer boundaries around the things that are a definite no for you, and the things that are a clear yes. When something feels like a no, I don't know if you could hear that, but I just cracked my neck. It might feel forced. It might feel like you have to perform or put on a show of some sort, wear a mask. You might be really uncomfortable and feel really drained after. But I don't think that you need to blame yourself or be like, oh no, I was being so fake. It might just be that it's really hard to show up as yourself in that space. It's kind of like, now I'm thinking of, like, if you even like go hang out with people from when you were younger and you start acting a little bit more like you're a younger version of yourself. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe they will remind you of things that you used to love when you were younger, but it might also bring out some of your wounds from that time of your life, or just like patterns that you had thought were in the past. Whereas if you spend time around people who never knew that version of you, it might be easier for you to operate as a version of yourself that you're very like proud of. Yeah, these butterflies are making me think of that you have gone through multiple evolutions of yourself. You've been through many versions of self. And there may be moments when you have felt like the butterfly. There may be moments when you felt like the caterpillar, or been in the cocoon or in the goo phase, or like just barely emerging from the cocoon and still haven't figured out how to use your wings yet. All of these phases are valuable because the butterfly cannot exist without the previous stages and phases. But it might be a little bit uncomfortable to get used to each new phase. Like, you might get used to being a caterpillar and then all of a sudden you're in a cocoon, and then that's really uncomfortable. But then you get used to being in the cocoon and then you come out and you're like, but I liked it in there, kind of. I mean, it was uncomfortable, but at least I was familiar with it. And I think that this butterfly phase that you are now expanding into, gaining your power, really spreading your wings, may come with a little bit of that. I feel performative, or I feel fake, or I feel like not myself, but it's partly just because it's a new iteration of you that you are still becoming familiar with. What are you being called to stand for, protect, or move toward right now? Okay, with this, one of these Faerie cards. That could be a specific cause, a specific truth, love, purpose. Perhaps you have a very an idea in your mind of what that's going to look like. Or it might still feel a little bit wobbly. Okay, we have the gnome. Summer, providence grants wisdom. Longings mold what life carves. This is saying to me that you have a lot of life experience that holds wisdom, and you might feel like you don't have any special skills or knowledge or ability that would allow you to have any sort of power. But your power is you being you. Is you claiming your own experiences and allowing them to live through you and teach you and to teach the people around you. And that might sound super cheesy or cliche, but it's kind of like your I'm focused on these like actual, like how water carves out ridges in the earth, or how like neural pathways are created. That the more you do something, the more familiar it becomes for your brain. And there are some things that you might not think that it's such a good thing that that's familiar for you. Like, I don't want to be familiar with this particular habit or this particular train of thought. But perhaps that habit or that train of thought or that way of doing things could have some power in it for you. That all of a sudden you're going down this train and then you are using that as a means to create something different. For example, let's say you have a tendency to use a particular substance when you feel disconnected from other people, from yourself. You're feeling lonely or isolated. And so you're following that pathway, and then you start to interrupt it with your new it's like you're adding something new to it. You're adding some form of creation and connection to that habit. I'm trying to give like more of like a concrete example. Even just from my own life, let me think. I mean, I have a tendency to just ruminate and overthink literally everything all the time. I'm constantly in all of these like thought spirals, And it's not so much that I'm stopping that pattern of overthinking as I'm starting to use it for a different purpose. I'm starting to use it to come up with ideas for my videos, or for writing projects, or for imagining a life that feels more worth living, instead of worrying about things that I don't have any control over. So it could be something like that for you, of just using the power that you have. It feels like a curse, and flipping it on its head. Another one that's now coming to my mind is, like, I deal with chronic illness, and the illness itself doesn't feel like much of a gift or a very great thing, but it has offered me the opportunity to learn how to make my life more accessible and come up with a lot of creative solutions on how to do things that other people might not have ever thought to do, that are just like actually better for my body, better for probably everybody's body. And figuring those things out has become like one of my superpowers. And the more that I claim that, and the more that you claim your superpower that might now feel like a curse or a burden or the worst thing to ever happen to you, the more that you will be able to step into your power. Okay. The last question is, what is one clear, grounded action that would honor that energy? The energy that it's really like shifting your shadows into something that can serve you. Whether it's something like you feel like a burden, you feel like you're too much or not enough. Some of those deep-seated fears or wounds. And again, I just want to reiterate, if you are feeling like you can barely keep your head above water, one of the best things that you can do, one of the most grounded actions you can take, is to be with yourself in that, to connect to yourself as much as you can, as gently as you can. And it's all about that pacing of not expecting yourself to be at the end of the finish line before you've even started. Prosperity lies ahead. New moon in Taurus. Hey, I'm pretty sure Taurus season is coming up pretty soon. We're in Aries right now. I think Taurus is next. Prosperity lies ahead. I think that you might be somebody who wants to believe in good things for yourself. I think that we all would like to believe in good things for ourselves, but maybe you have some skepticism, some doubt, some fear that if you allow yourself to believe in that you will be let down. Because you have in the past, you've been let down by other people, by institutions, by circumstances, even by yourself. And I think that this card is just encouraging you to, like we said before, get back on the horse and allow it to be an adventure and a journey. And while, yes, you may fall off the horse again, you may encounter some rogue thugs along the way. You may... I just keep having the song from Tangled come into my head where it's like Mother Knows Best and she's singing about all of the different potential dangers that could come up. But Rapunzel says like she has a dream. And I think that you have a dream too. And it is extremely rebellious of you to continue to go after your dream. It is rebellious of you to continue to be creative, to continue to be hopeful, and sometimes like when that anger or overwhelm or fear comes up, one of the most courageous things that you can do, one of the most rebellious things that you can do is to use that as fuel for your creation, to stepping back into your power. The summary of this reading really feels like you're allowed to take it at your own pace. You're allowed to be optimistic and afraid at the same time, excited and nervous, and nurture the parts of you that were not nurtured by past circumstances. You're allowed to write your own rules and then rewrite them when those ones don't work out. And that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here. It has been really lovely doing this reading for you. If you would like to stick around, I would love to have you here. I'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.